Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Today we're going to study Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 47. Shreya swadharmo viguna paradharmat svanushtithat svabhavaniyatam karma kurvannapnoti kilvishan. Word by word translation. Shreyan, better. Swadharmaha, one's own occupation. Viguna, imperfectly performed. Paradharmat, another's occupation. Svanushthitat, perfectly done. Svabhavaniyatam, prescribed duties according to one's nature. Karma, work. Kurvam, performing. Na, never. Apnoti, achieve. Kilbisham, sinful reactions. Translation. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Prescribed duties, according to one's nature, are never affected by sinful reactions. In this verse, Krishna is talking about prescribed duties and how Krishna explains it's better that you dedicate yourself to what your own nature is than trying to do someone else's work that won't fit your nature. So let me explain a little bit in more detail. Krishna previously in the Bhagavad Gita, he mentions that he created these 4 different categories of people in society, and these are known as Kshatriya, Brahmana Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So each of these 4 categories are found in any society in the world, and it doesn't have to be in India or China, America, anywhere. One can see that some people are or have Brahminical qualities and some other people have the qualities of Kshatriyas and so on. So let me explain a little bit in general form. Each of these Brahmanas are the priests or the intelligent class of society. These people are the ones who are very intelligent and they can understand very complicated subjects especially about spiritual topics, and they are very good teachers. They can explain advanced sciences to others in a very good manner. Brahmanas are also well known because they are in the mode of goodness, so we could say saintly persons are in the Brahminical stage. And then Kshatriyas are those who are more in the mode of passion, and they are primarily persons who take care of government or who manage bigger groups of people in a kind of governmental, or like before it was kings. These kings would take care of certain portions of land and protect their citizens and all these things. So that is Kshatriya. They would have to fight in battles and all these things. Then Vaishya is that person who is expert in commerce, in dealings of selling, buying stuff, and taking care of land, agriculture, cows, all these things. Very expert in commerce too. Those are Vaishyas. And Shudras are not very expert in any particular task, but their goal or their function is to serve the other three, the Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Brahmanas. So the Shudras are in the mode of ignorance. The Vaishyas are in the mixed mode of passion and ignorance. So these are the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And as they mix, we see different qualities of people. If one studies Bhagavad Gita, one can very easily get to identify these people in society. And it really helps, because if you run a company or you have a business and you need to organize people to work together, if you know these simple categories and you know how to identify who is who and where is this person in terms of consciousness, then you can very nicely guide them and direct them to work peacefully. So Krishna is saying that if someone, for example, has the nature of a Shudra, that it's better that he does his work even if it has faults, than try to become a Vaishya or a Brahmana, because he would totally fail in that attempt. And the way to understand this is not in the sense that we can never change or it's impossible to change. Of course, we can all improve and become better as we grow, but we see that beginning with a certain type of body that we have, if you study Ayurveda, the science of medicine in the Vedic culture, then you will see that certain qualities of the body, that if you're very tall or fat or in certain particular things that you already have by birth, then they help a lot to determine what is your own nature. So this is important because someone, for example, might be in the Vaishya position, and they are very good with making commerce and growing in the fields and maintaining cows and like that. And they might get a little depressed that, I would like to do spiritual life, but I cannot read scriptures very well. I don't understand all these Sanskrit terms, and it's a little bit too complicated for me. But I can sell things, and I can maintain a piece of land, very beautiful, and grow all kinds of vegetables and like that. So if that person executes his activities, like Krishna says, his prescribed duties, although his activities will have faults, then that execution or that action will be free of sin. And that is the cool part of Vedic culture, that if everyone does what they're supposed to do according to their nature, then the whole society becomes elevated into higher planets or even to the spiritual world, to better forms of life, better condition. And that is very important, not like today, which all society pretty much is going down, is degrading. As new children are born, they are becoming worse and worse. And I read the news today, something like 1 out of 5 persons in the US have some kind of mental disorder. And it's like, wow, that's horrible. Who would want to live in such a country where 1 out of 5 people are going insane in some form or another? And that was not considering people taking drugs and stuff, just normal citizen that has some deep anxiety. So such is the problems of society today. And now the important keyword here is prescribed duties. So a Vaishya, for example, someone who does commerce, many times you will go to a store and you will say, what's the price of this object? And they will, it's $100. I will give it for $90 and I won't earn anything just for you because you're a very good customer. And when we hear those words, of course, we can understand this man is a businessman. He's not going to lose money. That's his business, to earn money by selling things. So we can understand that he's just telling lies in order to sell. So that person might feel that, why should I keep lying? It's not proper to lie, so I should then renounce this and then become a priest, and the person is not qualified. By his nature, he will be interested in cheating. So when he takes to the rabbinical work, then he'll start cheating for some. We see that a lot, and fake spiritual gurus who cheat just for some other purpose, not for really helping people. So that Vaishya, although he's committing the sin of lying, he has to do it at some point in his business to say, well, this is very cheap just for you. Or like if you go to a pawn shop and you say, oh, I want to sell this object, and the person who's buying knows it's worth $1,000, but he'll say, oh, I'll give you $300. You know, this is a scrap item, so I cannot really pay that much. It's $300. So this is cheating. Of course, it's sinful to cheat like that. But if you study any business today, they're all based on the same principle: selling and reselling and repackaging and just making things more shiny, so that, oh look, it's more expensive. It's just cheating. And this kind of activity, again, it's sinful. But the trick is not so much to say, I will never commit any sins, because all activities, any duty that we perform in this world will be polluted in some way or other. So the trick is, okay, what is my nature? I see, for example, that it's very hard for me to get into the mode of goodness. All my family members, I'm surrounded by persons in the mode of passion and ignorance, and I cannot get out of this, and I myself, I am in the mode of passion, so then I should take to some work that I can be good at, according to my own nature. And then the key, or the turning, the magic where that changes, is when we dedicate the results of that work to serving God. That man who is very good at business, but he has to tell lies every once in a while, if he uses that income to serve the brahmanas, for example, to support them, or the kshatriyas to pay taxes, then he will actually experience the removal of his sins, and he will be properly situated because he's serving a higher purpose. And the idea is that each of these categories of persons will all focus on serving God, and in that way the whole society goes upward. Now, doesn't mean either that Krishna is saying, oh, you can cheat all that you want, and as long as you do what's in your nature, it's okay. No, the word here is prescribed duties. So prescribed means it's pre-written, or it's already defined. It doesn't say you should start selling alcohol everywhere and make everyone addicted to drugs and make money because that's your nature. Well, no, that is just plain sinful, and that's outside the scope of any civilized culture that's going to elevate people. In the next verse, Krishna says something about what I was talking about, the work. So let me read verse 48. I'll just read the translation. Every endeavor is covered by some sort of fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work which is born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. So Krishna explains that, like fire, which is something that is very purifying. With fire, we can transform almost anything into its original state. With fire is also covered by smoke, and sometimes we see that we want to cook and we're camping and we need to start a fire, and then there's smoke, but we still need to use that fire. It doesn't mean we stop and we say, oh, and we won't cook because there's smoke. No. This analogy is very, very accurate to describe that even the Brahmana, the Kshatriya, all of them will have some faults in their work. But if they're doing, again, what their nature is, what their original like tendency is, then that work will be appropriate, accurate. So, as I've seen in the devotional, especially in the spiritual, in religions and like that, that many persons who are in the mode of ignorance take to this business of teaching spiritual life, and then it's just a disaster, because they can hide a little bit for a while their original tendencies and like that, but after some time they just completely blow up, and then they do some horrible activity, and then they disappoint everyone. So it's really, really sad that this happens. It's better to say, well, I'm not very advanced in this activity, so I'll just do what's something according to my nature. And how do you know what's your nature? Well, it starts with asking yourself, what do you love doing? What do you love doing? Of all these activities that I mentioned, do you like, you're not very expert at anything really, but you like serving? You like the idea of not having to worry, of how am I going to start a business and all these things, but just work for someone and live peacefully, then that's the work of a Shudra. If you're more like, oh, I would love to start a business and start selling things and exchanging and taking care of cows and making investments and things like that, then that's more like a Vaishya. And a Kshatriya would be more like, oh, I would like to organize this group, this whole town, so that we start this bigger project. You know, that's not only one piece of land, but organizing like a group of farmers so that they have better rights or something like that. More governmental, managing more, instead of Vaishya is managing cows, managing land like that, and Kshatriya is more like managing Vaishyas, managing people who do commerce. That's the task of the government, to charge taxes and keep everything under control, defending and all these things. And the Brahmana is, if you're more inclined towards teaching, learning, studying scriptures, having a very direct contact with God, focusing most of your time in that state of mind where your focus is God. This kind of people is what Prabhupada was always trying to train. But we see that most people in the world are of all kinds, not just Brahmanas. So everyone can be engaged very nicely in devotional service if they know how to put themselves in which category I'm in. So ask yourself this question: what is it that you love doing? Which of these categories do you think you fit nicely, naturally? Not that somebody told me, but that you would be spontaneously attracted. Oh, that sounds really good, I would like to do that. And then offer the results of that to serve God, to advance the purposes of God, to teach, to share the message of the Bhagavad Gita, etc. If you have any questions or comments, please visit our website. We have a forum there, thevedikway.org. Thank you. Hare Krishna.